What's up guys, LeopoldTheBrave here, and it's time for the story review of Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. If you want to check out my review for the gameplay and every other aspect of the game, I made that a couple videos ago, so be sure to go watch that. I wanted to separate the story review from the rest of the game because of obvious spoilers, and also I have a lot to talk about. I repeat, there are obvious spoilers in this review, which is also why I waited 2 weeks, so if you don't want to be spoiled and if you haven't finished the game, maybe don't watch this video just yet. With that said though, let's get started. So Crash 4 begins a couple decades after Crash Bandicoot Warped's 100% ending. Cortex and Entropy have finally grown back up after being turned into babies, and have only just now figured out a way to escape their prison. Through their escape, they somehow discover a way to control and manipulate dimensional rifts, and plot to use this newfound knowledge to take control over every universe. Well, at least Cortex does. Entropy has his heights set a bit higher. He wants to wipe the entire multiverse and rewrite it in his own image. So in order to stop him, Crash must collect all the quantum masks and wake them up, since they're the only ones that can organically control the rifts and fix everything. And of course, along the way they bump into Dingodile, an alternate universe version of Tana, and even team up with Dr. Cortex to take down Entropy, who has now met his female counterpart from an alternate dimension. It's simple enough, not too complicated, and it brings plenty of quality, like unique facial expressions, incredible animation, fun character interactions, and of course, good humor. It does feel a bit standard to the series though. While the story is good, I feel it just plays it a bit too safe when it comes to the lore, or raising the stakes, or any other small details. I know it's a bit weird to expect a whole ton out of a Crash Bandicoot story of all things, but let me explain my thought process. Crash Bandicoot has always been inspired by cartoons, and has kept up with them throughout time. For example, when he began in the 90s, he was very similar and inspired by the Looney Tunes and Looney Tunes-esque cartoons of the same era, like Animaniacs, Tiny Toons, Tasmania, etc. And then as he kept going into the mid-2000s and beyond, he adopted the wacky, weird, subversive meta-humor of cartoons at that time, like Phineas and Ferb. You cannot tell me that Titans and Twinsanity Cortex didn't feel very Doofenshmirtzy. Yes, that's a word now. So with how cartoons have gotten in the 2010s and beyond, like Adventure Time, OKKO Let's Be Heroes, Infinity Train, I was expecting Crash 4 to pull something a little bit more daring and in-depth for the franchise, especially since it was the first brand new story after 12 years. Now don't get me wrong, they didn't totally fall flat in that area. There are some cool bits like the flashback tapes, which fill in some plot holes of the original trilogy, including shattering my Evolve Array theory. Oh. And they developed Dingodile pretty well, people even saying that this is their favorite version of the character, and for good reason, as well as giving us a new and interesting Tana. But I do think it creates more plot holes than it fills. Like, for example, by the end, Tana is just chilling with everyone. Is she not gonna go back and fix her dimension now that the female Entropy is gone and missing with the original Entropy? The original Tana is still missing, are they ever going to fix and address that? And is the developed retired Dingodile that we meet in Crash 4 even the same Dingodile that we fought in Crash Bandicoot Warped, because he's apparently just chilling in the Mosquito Marsh universe. Is he the original Dingodile or an alternate version like Tana? And then of course there's the obvious question of the fate of the other games in the series that take place after the original trilogy. Are they still canon? Where do they fit in? I mean, there's a 100% ending where we see plenty of post-Naughty Dog characters like Nina Cortex, Zem and Zam, Chicken Stew, but yet Cortex is somehow also there despite being stranded at the end of the universe at the end of the game with Uka Uka. It's the same for the 106% ending too, so did the 100% ending really happen, or is it just a jokey slideshow thing just for fun? It just felt like there were a lot of missed opportunities to discuss and set the record straight in a lot of lore and plot details for a game about time and universes and dimensions and all that. But again, it's just a Crash Bandicoot game, and none of this is really a negative, it's just my expectations that weren't quite met when it comes to that particular area of the story. If you want to hear some actual complaints and negatives, I only have a very, very, very small few, which would be in the characterizations of Coco and Tana. For Coco, I just miss her personality and sass and how she actually cared for her brother Crash. In Crash 4, she's just girl and is always frowning and sighing at Crash's antics. It just felt a little sad, and I miss their sibling bond from the older games. As for Tana herself, there's nothing wrong with how she is. It's just the fact that it feels like she's now entirely replacing the original Tana. You see, the original Tana was interesting because whenever Mario would save Peach, he'd get nothing more than a kiss on the nose and some cake. And Sonic was always running away from his love interest, Amy, And Crash was the only one of the mascots with an actual girlfriend, flat out girlfriend. And they had a really cute Roger and Jessica Rabbit dynamic. The whole reason fans wanted her to come back into the main series is because they wanted to see more of that dynamic. But when they actually brought her back with this alternate universe version, she's completely different. She even bops Crash on the head. The original Tana would never. Again, there's nothing wrong with alternate universe Tana, but if this is going to be our only Tana from now on, that's going to be a little disappointing. I know the Spyro Reignited trilogy were remakes, so they had to keep everything the same, but the fact that Toys for Bob kept Hunter and Bianca's relationship in Spyro 3 so intact, and even made it cuter and more lovey-dovey, I was really excited and looking forward to seeing some Crash and Tana interactions. But what we actually got of them really let me down. But overall, those are my only negatives in the entire story, just some odd characterizations of Coco and Tana that I didn't like very much. All the lore and other stuff I was hoping for was just me setting my expectations a bit too high. Once again, it's a great story with lots of really funny moments, incredible fluid and expressive animation, and it was exciting to see what new stories this franchise can tell, and I can't wait to see what they do in the future. But let me know what you guys think of Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time story down in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next time. Leopold the Brave, out.